Hi everyone. I'm coming on today just really quick to make a couple of announcements and also just to update you a little bit on a couple things. But I just wanted to first let you know that some of you guys have probably seen that there's a couple of hackers. This happens, I think, to pretty much anybody that has an audience, but there have been some hackers that are, trying to steal my identity and creating false accounts, and then they're emailing you guys because they're looking at my account and trying to reach out to the people that are following me. So just be sure if you guys are getting notifications from me, I'm not going to email you and tell you that I'm doing live readings, so make sure that you're looking at the page. They're stealing the pictures, making it look like it's me, and then hitting people up in private email and then trying to get credit cards from them. So I just want you guys to be careful about that. Make sure that you look specifically at the spelling. If it's not on my page and they don't have the 20,000 plus followers that are on my page, you can tell right away that it's not me. So make sure you're looking for that. Joshua said it just happened to two of his other friends. Yeah, I'll go into a little detail of, it's not in general always African spellcasters, but a lot of times it is the Nigerian spellcasters. And usually what they do is just create overnight accounts and then try to hustle people and get money, as many credit cards as they can, and then they wipe out the account. But I also wanted to let you guys know that there's somebody did it online. Also, I found a website today that had all of my work and writings and information, even my website that they put on their website to make it look like it's me. So if you guys aren't going directly to ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com, then you're going to get in trouble. Make sure you're specifically going to ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. They're taking that brand from Twin Flame Initiates and trying to mimic it and trying to use my writings and my work to lure people to them for readings. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are watching out for that, because either they're going to be hitting you up in your private emails, or you go to find me online and it's the wrong person. So I just want to make sure. But yeah, then, a lot of people who have accounts that have audiences are dealing with this. And oftentimes, like I said, it's these Sangoma witches, and there's good ones and bad ones of that as well. But they do a lot of black magic, and a lot of times they're coming from Africa, and there's some of the stuff that they do, they work with black magic too. So you want to watch your energy and watch how you feel if you're getting hit up by somebody. And if it's me, you guys know to find me here, but you also know ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com, and make sure you look up in the window to see that that's who's contacting you, or who you're contacting, so you don't get redirected somewhere that you're not supposed to be. And I'm sorry that that's going on. I'm working right now with an attorney to do a cease and desist for those people, but unfortunately I just wanted to let you guys know so that you weren't running into problems, because I had quite a few people this week email me and let me know that they were being hit up by somebody that was pretending to be me, and this is probably the 10th time this year that that's happened. And of course, if you guys have that happen, please report it to Facebook. Facebook told me that they're not going to take it down at this time because they don't think they're impersonating me, but if enough people report it, then that can happen. So I just want you guys to know, unless you're directly on my page or my website, be careful. And then I also wanted to use the time today to make this video and to talk a little bit about, I'm sure a lot of you guys see in the spiritual community that we have to do, sometimes we have to cut cords or, kind of create some distance with people in our energy field if we're having difficulty with them. But I kind of wanted to, the Spirit asked me basically to talk a little bit about that and how we need to balance that energy, because it can be misconstrued and it can be overused in the spiritual community a lot. And we're seeing that happen and unfold in the last few years, really, with a lot of, and so, the spirit of Satan wants to create separation between people and wants to create, discord between family members and between, husbands and wives and siblings and anywhere that discord can be created. That's the spirit of Satan. And so when we are doing our energy work and healing ourselves, yes, it's really highly important to watch your energy and to, create healthy space between you and somebody that you feel agitated with that might be in your life. But the answer, let's say that it's your brother or your mom or your dad or somebody, and you had these years of just discord and you're not healing it, but they're trying and you're trying, then there's a little bit of room there for you to be using discernment to where you're not just completely trying to cut everybody out of your life. Because if you're just immediately going to cutting people out of your life, you're kind of missing the lesson of bridging love. And the purpose of ascension is to bridge love. It's not just to cut people out. And we can do that when we need to, when it's a highly toxic person. But it's better if you can try to learn how to heal that energy between you and the other person, than to just go immediately into cutting people out of your life. That's really kind of what Satan wants. And so I know that there's a lot of, information on the internet and people talking about cutting the cord and cutting toxic people out of your life, and it's like the trendy thing to do. But the Spirit's asking me to remind people to keep a balance there. It's not meant to be used anytime you feel uncomfortable with an emotion, or anytime that somebody is, saying something that you don't like. It's meant to be used only when you've exhausted all of your other opportunities to create love in that relationship. And so, you have to use your own discernment to decide when is the right time to make that call. And maybe sometimes it's going to be needed on a temporary basis where you're creating space temporarily. Let's say it's between you and your mom. That's fine. But if you're going to and resorting to cutting everybody out of your life, that is actually a Luciferian program, and it's really going to leave you feeling empty and alone, and that's really not the path. And so it's a balancing act, guys. Everything is a balancing act between the left and the right side of the brain, and really between using your discernment for when you need to make certain choices. There's no cookie cutter way, okay? You have to use your senses at all times. But if you're running to cutting everybody out of your life because they're annoying you, you're missing the whole point of love. Love takes two, and it takes some effort to bridge the gap between you and them. And if you're just cutting people out right away, you're losing the opportunity to grow and expand. And so I just want to bring that to bring balance into that subject. There are times that you do have to, cut people out of your life when you just know that you've tried everything and they're not, they're not good for you. Then yeah, you need to cut the cords. But again, try to use your own discernment for that, and be careful. That was the spirit from the Spirit's message that I'm relaying to you. And so you need to just use discernment. A lot of times, light workers will incarnate into families that have a lot of difficulty because the light worker chose to come and help heal the energy in that family line. And so, sometimes you're not here for easy. You're not here for the best, feeling everything all the time. Yes, that's important that you feel good and that you're healthy and in a safe environment. But sometimes you're actually here also to help heal the energy of your family lineage and of people that are suffering that you chose on a high soul level before you came to Earth to assist. So if you're just jumping the gun and immediately, cutting the cords with everybody and running off in a hole by yourself, you're kind of missing the point of evolution and of expansion of your heart and your capacity to love and your capacity to rise above, some of the lower energies that you're seeing in others. It should be an opportunity for you to improve yourself if you can. And you know, there are times that you do have to cut people out of your life when you've tried everything and you know, you're just not getting through. Then that's fine if you're being put in a position that isn't safe for you or that kind of a thing. But aside from that, it shouldn't be your first response to just cut people off. And the Spirit wanted me to make sure that I passed that message along today, for those that it's meant for. And again, if you're just coming on, I just want to let you guys know that I'm dealing with a few people that are trying to mimic me and steal my pictures and my name and my writings and my work and put it on their websites and on pages that they're creating to make it look like it's me, and it's not me. So make sure you guys are being really careful with, if you're going to my website, make sure you type in ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com, and make sure if you type that into Google that you're not getting misled to a different website, because that's what they're doing. They're making it look like it's me and it's not me. So I just want to make sure if you're trying to find me that you're being mindful of that. I am in the process of filing some cease and desist letters to them to have that website taken down, but it's probably the 10th one this year. So just want to make sure that you guys know how to find me and make sure that it's me that you're finding. And then if any of you guys are interested still in that Tantra class, please sign up soon, because we want to make sure that you're pre-registered. We don't want to wait until the last day and have, you know, 30 people try to get on when we don't have time to process you and get you all the links and everything. So make sure that you've reached out to me. And then one last notification or announcement too is the people that were looking at those wands, stand by. We're having a couple different batches made, and we have some other, you know, projects that have to be completed first. So just stand by. We're still working on them, and there will be, you know, more down the line. I've got a list of the ones that were interested, so I'll be emailing you guys. Yeah, that's not good. Joanne said, yeah, it's not good. It's not good because they're frauding me, but they're also frauding people like you guys. And so just make sure that you know where to find me, okay? And as long as Facebook doesn't kick me off, you can always find me here or in Messenger, but the website's the best way in case, you know, and you got to just make sure it's ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. As usual, I'm getting a lot of censorship on other platforms. I got kicked off of LinkedIn for now. And so, you know, we just have to find ways to stay together and make sure, you know, that you're reaching out to me. So, yeah, okay. Let's see. Just read a couple of these comments here really quick. Yeah, but again, you know, also the point of the video too was that the Spirit wanted me to make sure that I passed that message and that I covered that issue, because it's obviously, you know, something that we're all dealing with is we go through ascension, that in order to you know, as you're going through ascension, you're going to deal with really becoming mindful about other people's energy and about your own energy, and really not opening space for negativity as much as possible. But you don't want to get to the point where you're completely just throwing everybody in the garbage can because they're negative. That's really not the right answer. It's a balancing act. And, you know, it really is about bridging the gap between love. And just because you're going through ascension and maybe you're conscious of it doesn't mean that the person that you're dealing with, whether it's your sister or your mom or dad or whoever it is, they may be going through it too, even if they're not conscious of it. And so the key isn't to just cut everybody out of your life just because you're on the ascension path. The key is to bridge love as best as you can. We're trying to love one another. That's our work, is to learn to love one another. And yes, love doesn't mean tolerating bad abusive behavior or any such thing. But again, it's kind of like if you are trying and they're trying, and you guys for the most part love each other, and you run into some issues that agitate you, that's not a sign for you to cut them out of your life. That's actually very unhealthy, and that creates further harm to the soul to just start cutting people out of your life because they agitate you because you're going through ascension. And so again, I'm just being asked to help you reach a balance there. Everything in the universe is about balance. And so yes, there's times that you do need to cut people out of your life or cut the cord with them, but again, it shouldn't be your first reaction every time somebody upsets you or somebody says something and you think it's negative or whatever it is. The key is about learning how to bridge the gap of love between one another. So I just wanted to pass that message along. It looks like we have a handful of people. How are you guys doing tonight? Tammy's saying she bridges love, but the family stay away. Well, sometimes we think we're bridging love, and sometimes we're still the toxic one, and we think they're the toxic one. That's how the funny mind works, is it makes us think that everybody else is what we are, and so that's why we have to do so much work on ourselves. And I mean a lot of work on yourself internally to heal your own energy so that you are the best, most highest vibrational loving being that you can possibly be. No, I'm not in Florida, Debbie. I'm in Las Vegas. Yeah. So the key, of course, is for you to become the most loving vibrational being that you can be, and love when you're really true to yourself is unconditional, which means that you're not going to be as offended by other people's behavior as you might be when you're unhealed, because when you're unhealed, it triggers you. It triggers you when somebody else is being nasty. But when you get to the point where you're not really triggered by it anymore, that's when you've healed. And it doesn't mean that you're supposed to sit and tolerate abuse all the time, but it does mean that you yourself have to heal to a point where you're not allowing yourself to be disempowered by someone else's behavior, so that you can then reach in and try to help them pull themselves up from that lower energy. And so it is a balancing act. Everything is. But again, your first response shouldn't be to just cut people out of your life that are part of your life. You chose your family for a reason. And yeah, there are times where there are family members that you really have to create a lot of, distance from. And I totally get that. But, the whole story of humanity, the whole evolution and ascension process is about love. And it's about, protecting your energy and keeping yourself in a clear, space and being able to love others, but not be so hypersensitive. People are reading all these things online and then they're immediately like, oh no, you're negative because you said this, or, oh no, you're trying to fear-base me because you talked about something scary. And that's not the way. You've got to be able to have, healthy conversations with people without being hypersensitive. And I don't mean to say that to dismiss or diminish anybody, but if you're so hypersensitive about a word that you read that is bad, then you're still missing the point. So try to keep a balance there. Don't do no harm, take no shit. Don't tolerate abuse, but don't harm other people just because you think that they're being negative because they said something a little scary, or maybe you didn't process it yet, or maybe that's just the way they are. Maybe they're a little more edgy than you are, and your job is to love them, not to reject them because they're irritating you, because you don't like what they said, because you read online that that's a bad thing and therefore they're a bad person. That's not where love lives. So, again, you need to make love your focus if you want to be on the ascension path. Ascension path is the path back to love and unity consciousness for all beings. And I'm not encouraging you to put yourself in a bad position or stay in a bad relationship or anything that would endanger you or harm you emotionally, physically, or spiritually. You do need to protect yourself from that first. But I am just asking you to keep a balance. I am not even asking you, I'm translating to you from the spirit and the message that came through to me, to share with you the necessity to keep a balance. And I think that, you know, if you look at the dynamics of parents and children, that's a perfect example. That a lot of times the parent will be doing something that they're trying to love their child with, and the child thinks that the parent's controlling, or thinks that the parent's doing this, that, or the other. So the child's perceiving the parent as a bad guy, but in reality it's a love thing. And then that child's, you know, in a way violating love, because they're not understanding the love that the parent has for them. So if you're, you know, jumping the gun on that stuff, you're going to be the one hurting and breaking love, instead of, you know, you think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually hurting. So just use your senses, use discernment. You know, in your own journey, who's who and what's what and what it means to you. And at the end of the day, you have to make that decision. But just make sure that you're making it from a soulful perspective, and that you're not doing it from just, you know, what you read online or heard online. Make sure it's really your truth before you make that decision. Maybe sometimes that comes also with life experiences and working out and polishing out relationships. You know, I know that that's been the case in my family with my dad for a lot of years, where, you know, there were times where I might have tried to cut the cord on him, and it wasn't my truth, and eventually I suffered for it. So I share this with you guys in hopes that, you know, you'll be able to keep yourself balanced as much as possible. And remember that the goal is love for one another. And so, you know, stay balanced there. No fear, fake evidence appearing real. Exactly. No fear. Don't be so afraid of your love for people, and the fact that sometimes they're going to say things that maybe feel like they hurt you. You keep a balance. Protect your energy, for sure. But don't, you know, don't make cutting the cord your first reaction to people that you know that you love and that love you. Because those are bonds that just need to be developed and built. Again, Satan's goal is to destroy the family unit and to destroy unity consciousness. And so when you're jumping on that bandwagon, and you're already, you know, hating moms and siblings and kids and coworkers and everything else, or you're just cutting the cord with them all the time because you're not finding within you the capacity to rise to a higher love and bridge that miscommunication between the two of you, then, you know, that's what makes Satan happy. And that's, or the dark forces, or whatever you want to call it. It's not your highest truth. And at the end of the day, you'll be unhappy for it. So, try and keep that balance there. Sorry, I was just trying to read Ashley's comments there. She's talking about wizards that are in control of Australia. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of dark forces out there, but I think that this message was more meant for things like, you know, your interpersonal relationships, and especially when it comes to family members, because, you know, and believe me, I know from personal experience, there are times that you do need to create that cut the cord with people. But again, it's really not the truth. And so holding space and holding love and creating healthy boundaries, and, you know, holding space for them to evolve and grow and those kind of things is really, really important. But reacting on emotion and just cutting people out because you're pissed off or they hurt your feelings or whatever, it just creates more suffering for your family line, for yourself and for your family. And it just creates more suffering, and that is not the path to unity consciousness. So, you know, yes, protect your energy, but don't create more harm by, you know, hurting your parents or hurting your children or hurting your siblings just because maybe you don't understand where they're coming from. Understanding is the bridge to love. So if you are pissed off at your mom or your dad or your kid or your sibling or whatever, you know, the way to heal through that is to learn how to understand one another's differences, not to cut each other out. And you start cutting people out of your life that love you, you're going to cause a wound in them. And that hurts people. It hurts people too. You're not the only one that has feelings too, right? So you don't want to do more damage than you're doing in trying to heal yourself too. So you really need to keep a balance there. And the Spirit brought that through today because it was important for the collective to hear and to be mindful of. Because it's really easy to read things online and to start kind of getting programmed into a path, even the ascension path, and lose sight of the truth of love, or the truth that you really do love your mom or your dad or whoever. Yeah, it can be hard. Shelley said she's hearing this, and so, and I, you know, I know with a lot of people, and Shelley might understand this too, that there's a lot of people who have truly been hurt by their parents. And so you have very much a right to be, you know, protective of yourself around them, and to hold, you know, not want to expose yourself to them, especially in extreme cases. But at the end of the day, it's still a love thing. And so understanding what led them to do what they did is how you heal. You're not going to heal if you don't understand them, even in the worst situations. Yeah, Tammy's saying that she told her son it's his journey, and to walk and pray for his healing. Yeah, and sometimes you do have to just, you know, let them go their own way at the time. But again, you're holding space for him, and that's the key, is to, you know, not fool yourself into thinking that you hate them. Because the truth is you really don't. You're hurt because you love them. You're not hurt because you hate them. If you hate them, you don't care. You know, that's why it's really important to try to be honest with yourself too. You know, even if they hurt you and you love them, you still have to be honest about that to yourself, so that you can nurture your own self in the process while they evolve. You might be a lot more evolved than them, so it doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you're holding space for them in hopes that they'll also evolve where you are, depending on where you guys are all at in your personal relationships. And of course, that is up to every single one of you guys on your own. You have to tune into yourself and know when's the right time to, you know, distance yourself from somebody, and when is it your fault. He who takes offense is the offender. So when you're offended by something that somebody's saying or doing, you're actually creating a bigger wound. When you evolve, you begin to understand why everybody does everything, even the worst deeds possible. And as you start to understand that, you can then begin to have the eyes and the capacity to hold space to love from a way higher perspective. Linda said her daughter will not forgive anyone, and it's so hard. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because I'm pretty sure, Linda, that as a mom, you probably did the best that you knew how to do. And if she's taking offense and holding on to that and not holding space for you to be human and for you to have evolved, then it creates a bigger wound. And I do believe that that was exactly what the Spirit was wanting to relay. It does take time sometimes to heal wounds, and so holding space for kids, especially if we've hurt them, and you know, you can understand to some degree their need to work through it. But if they're just perpetuating the pain and suffering and hatred and spreading that energy, because energy is contagious. And what happens with most people is they get a wound, and then they walk around and wound everybody else because they're wounded, and they want to take the pain from them and give it to somebody else so that they can suffer with each other. It's kind of a tragic, you know, component of being human when you're unhealed. When you heal, you don't want to spread that poison cup anymore. And so it doesn't matter who hurt you. It matters that the buck stops here. We're not spreading hate and hurt to anybody anymore, because you have a broader understanding of everybody's suffering. Sorry, I just wanted to read a couple of those comments. So I'm sorry about that with your daughter, but yeah, that's the tragedy, isn't it? Is that it just gets spread around and around and around and keeps harming people. And at some point, we all need to get to this point where we stop blaming everybody for all the suffering and start to understand why everybody was even suffering in the first place. And it's a big picture, guys. A lot of things are going on in the astral world. A lot of things have been going on with, reincarnation cycles and trapped souls and all kinds of sorcery and Luciferian programs and possession and demonic entities. They're all real, and you have to take into account that there's a lot going on there. And inside, on a deep soul level, every soul is pure. Every soul was born pure, in love. So what happened? And it's when you can start looking at things like that you can start to move through the pain and move through forgiving people and move through, forgiving yourself. And again, at what point are you guys going to say the buck stops here and stop re-perpetuating pain cycles onto humanity? And especially with your family. Because again, that's exactly what the Satan spirit wanted to do, was to divide families. And it's just causes suffering for everybody. Who's going to be the one with the big kid panties that can pull up their panties and say, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Doesn't matter who hurt me. I'm not going to hurt anyone else because I know that it's not helping enough, right? We got to, at some point, somebody in the family line pulls up their panties and says, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. And that's how we break generational curses. So you guys are being activated right now in breaking generational curses by pulling up the big kid panties and saying the buck stops here. We're not tolerating it anymore. It doesn't matter who hurt me. I don't understand why they hurt me maybe, but I am giving it to the higher power. And of course, I'm not in any way suggesting that you open yourself to any negative environment that would harm you. I'm definitely not suggesting that at all, but I am suggesting that you yourself, make a decision to not be participating in spreading more hurt. And, oh, hi, Crystal. Thank you. But yeah, end the cycle. And so your parents hurt you. You don't know what they went through. You don't know. And you don't know what their purpose was. And so, that's between them and the divine. And your job is for you to be connected with the divine so that you can, set the record straight for yourself and trust that whatever their journey is between them and the divine. Everybody, even Jeffrey Dahmer, is a child of God. And only the higher power knows exactly what led him to do what he did. And we're not suggesting that we're just going to sit here and agree to all the bad things people do. I'm not at all saying that. But I'm saying for you yourself to, reach a place within yourself where you say enough is enough. I'm done. I'm not gonna behave bad just because everybody else did. That takes a lot of strength to be the one that finally says, I'm not gonna pay this kind of negativity forward, right? Because you're the one that has to transmute all of that energy at that point. You're the one that has to transmute it. And that's really what transmutation is being the one that says the buck stops here, and then taking all that pain and turning it in and alchemizing it into love when you don't have anywhere else to pass it on to, because that pain sucks. But if you learn how to transmute it and end that cycle, then that's what an alchemist is. end the cycle, you know? And if you're the kid and your parents hurt you, you have to remember that you don't understand what their role is that they had in your journey, and quite honestly that you chose that before you came to Earth. You actually chose it. And that can be really difficult when you've had extraordinary experiences that were painful. But the moment that you start to realize that your soul chose it, then you can say why. And when you start asking why and you get the answers, you then start to heal. Why did you choose that experience for yourself? There's a lot there that's going on in other realities and parallel universes and past lives and other things that are influencing and affecting why you're experiencing what you are in this life. And when you can start to see the deeper picture, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, watch out if you're trying to find me online. Just make sure you go to ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. Be really careful, because I have some people that are trying to mimic me. I guess that's a sign that I'm doing something right? But I want you guys to make sure to be careful if you're trying to reach me, so you don't land in the wrong spot with the wrong person. And they're also emailing private to get you guys to sign up for free readings. If you need to find me, come here to this page or ellenred.com. Don't just because they're taking my picture and my background picture, and they're sharing all my posts to make it look like it's just like my page. So just be sure that you're watching out for that. Linda asked to do past life regression. And I would say, Linda, that or to do Akashic Record readings, which I do, so you can schedule that, and it is awesome. Because when you tap into that, you're able to start seeing cycles that you've had in past lives. They're in the Akashic Record in your book of life, which I'm able to gain access to. And it helps you a lot to also see dynamics. A lot of times in those readings, it will show up that you've been traveling with people, maybe your mom or your dad or ex-boyfriend or somebody, and you don't realize this, but you've actually been traveling and having different lives together for different soul expansions. And so those things are revealed in the Akashic Record readings. And I would recommend that. And then the regressions, they're a little bit different than an Akashic Record reading, but it's where you learn to go into transmeditative states so that you yourself can tap into certain memories too, because, you know, it's good for you to be able to learn to do that as well, which meditation can train you. But either way, they're both very, very, very helpful, Linda, because they can help you to break those cycles, and they help you to gain a deeper insight as to why you're experiencing what you are in your life. And yeah, I would recommend an Akashic Record reading, but also to start meditating and learning how to tap into your cellular memory. Those memories are deep in you, but a lot of times when you're carrying unhealed energy and trauma, that blocks you from being able to receive the messages. So you kind of need to work on both. You need to work on those things to be able to astral travel, and you need to work on those things to be able to open your third eye. All of those kind of energy blocks get in the way. Tammy said, she hopes I'm feeling better, and I would love to say yes, but unfortunately this is a very gruesome circumstance, and it's not one that I'm sure I'm going to come through or not. Truthfully, I'm going to work at it, and if it's my destiny, then I will. But it's certainly a very, very difficult part of my journey. Thank you for asking, though. Just reading a couple of these comments real quick. It's good to see you guys. So just for those that are coming in, I just want to remind you to watch out that there's some frauds that are online. They've created websites that look like me, and it's got all my writings and all my stuff on it, and it's not my website. So if you're trying to find me, only go to ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. And watch out for the ones that are on Facebook, because they're stealing my pictures and my posts, and they're trying to mimic me, and then they're trying to get your guys' credit cards. So be very careful that if you're trying to get me, get me. Yeah, and don't you know, take what I said about my health as a, you know, a bad thing. I've seen the story of my life, and I know that I'm in my Dharma stage now, and I'm doing my soul mission. And a lot of star seeds and twin flames that reach a certain stage do transition and ascend. I'm not sure that I'm at that place yet or not. I don't have confirmation. I just know that I'm facing I'm very much teetering between life and death. And my case was really bad, unfortunately. So, but it doesn't mean that it can't be healed. It's just, it's really good. We're all going to see, aren't we? I haven't gotten confirmation from Spirit, except that I'm kind of in control of it. And so, you know, it's up to me to fight through it. And I'm going to work on that. So, and as you guys, many of you guys that know me and have followed me know that I'm not a weakling. I've tolerated and overcome many, many, many extraordinary challenges. So it's just a matter of whether I have the strength here to push through this one. And I appreciate all of your thoughts and love and care. And I'm you know, I'm pretty sure that I'll do fine, but you never know, do you? Thy will be done. I'm pretty sure I still have some work to do. Don't you guys want to wait and see my books come out first? But anyway, just to reiterate for the ones that are coming on, that, you know, the message of this video was to remind everybody that, you know, as much as it's important to protect your energy and not to open and expose yourself to, you know, negative beings that are going to siphon your spirit and pull you down, you also at the same time need to make sure that you're bridging love. You can't just cut everybody out and then pretend that that's really what love's about, because it's not. Love is the bridge between you and somebody else. And so cutting everybody out cuts love out, right? And so you have to decide and really use discernment to determine at what point is really, you know, important for you to cut someone out, versus do you just need to hold space and create some healthy boundaries to build and bridge that love. And it is a balancing act. At the end of the day, we will all return to source and love one another. And so anything that is not that on the way back home is really a violation of love. And that's kind of hard because, you know, we're in a dense reality here, and it's hard sometimes to have, you know, perfect love between everybody when you're in a much higher vibration than somebody else. But to try to bridge that love and to remember that sometimes you're the one that chose to incarnate in that family so that you could help heal. If you're just getting mad because you don't like every experience you had there, then you're kind of missing the point. And that's really not why you're here on this earth plane. You're here to learn how to love each other, and you can't love each other if you're getting offended by everything everybody says all the time. We're in this kind of snowflake season with humanity where, you know, people are so hyper sensitive to everything that they're immediately triggered. It's like, you know, a reflection of massive collective wounding that needs to be healed. And, you know, it starts with you. If you want to see a world of love, you have to be that love. If you don't want people to just throw you in the garbage every time you say something that they don't understand, then you have to learn to not throw other people in the garbage every time they say something that you don't understand. It's really that simple. It starts right there. the med beds are coming. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Cock. I could use a little bit of divine assistance here. It's all part of the ascension journey and enlightenment. And it's not the funnest part. And I know that you know, some others have talked about this stuff in other videos, but you know, we're not meant to be on this earth plane forever either. Part of it's to graduate the lesson and ascend. And so whatever thy will is, it will be done, and I will accept whichever way it goes, and I'll work on living until then, and loving you guys and growing with you guys as much as we can until it's time for whoever and whenever. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Debbie. That was very, very sweet. So I just want to read a couple of those questions. Don't throw your parents away so quick. You don't remember what they've done for you. You don't remember all of the nights that they lost sleep, you know. Don't throw your kids away so quick just because they're being brats at a stage in their journey. Don't throw your siblings away just because you guys are different. You're not supposed to be the same. You're supposed to love each other's differences. You're supposed to respect one another in your differences. Katrina, yes, I connect directly with Source. And also with, you know, other spirits. And the Galactics. Linda said she needed this so much. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it touched somebody. It was a very strong message from the Spirit today to bring this forward. So I just kind of thought I would jump on and you know, translate it over to you guys. But it's so important because we do tend to kind of get caught in these mind control situations, which even happens in the spiritual community. And when you're reading repetitive information, because everybody's regurgitating information or words that they picked up along the way, and yes, those words might apply to certain cases, they're not really the essence of truth. The essence of truth is to bridge love. That is the answer. That's unity consciousness. Those are grid workers. You can't bridge love if you're just in this mind program that all my spiritual gurus told me to just cut everybody out every time they're toxic. Oh no, they're toxic. Oh no, run. That's so not the right way. It's not the right way, guys. It's not the right answer. Kristen, yes, I will repost it so you'll be able to see it again. And yes, we're all part of Source. Ashley asked that. Yes, we are. Cox said, as a starseed, you scare the hell out of your family, and there's absolute. I'm gonna lean back here so you guys can watch me relax a little bit, because then I can stay on longer with you guys. But yes, that's true. You're gonna scare the crap out of them because they think they know you sometimes, and then when they realize that you have this other eternal wisdom in you and some, you know, other stuff, it can be intimidating to others. But that's okay, because they're part of that higher picture too when they're ready to tune into themselves also. That, you know, who knows what they'll discover there. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys are understanding that you know, don't jump the gun so fast and be so hypersensitive about a quote-unquote toxic person, because you yourself are also toxic. And none of us are free of that. So to be cutting everybody out just because, you know, they seem toxic to you for a moment in time is not the answer. It's really not where healing begins. It's not where love begins. And you're not gonna, you're only adding to the collective problem if you're jumping into that so quickly. And again, that doesn't mean that there aren't times that you do have to cut people out. There are, but it's a rare thing. And when it does happen, even then, you know, even if it's a family member that you really love, but they're just downright not getting it, you're still going to hold space for them, and you can still do healing for them through prayer and meditation and rituals to help heal their energy spiritually. The key isn't to throw them away. The key is to bridge love for them. They need love. People, when they're toxic or hurting, need love. You yourself, when you're hurting, you become not a nice person because you're suffering, and you don't mean to, but it happens. That's the way. So now it's to hold space there and begin to heal, and not be so quick to turn on the people that love you. You may be very different than your family members, and they may be very different than you, and you might have lots of conflicts and things like that, but throwing each other away is not the right way. It's not. I'm sorry. You know that to be true. You know that to be true. I'm only here to remind you of your own truth. And Olivia is saying there's so many lonely people in the world, and part of the reason why they're lonely is because they can't figure out how to love each other. You wouldn't be so lonely if you just figured out how to get out of your own pain and go out and try to love someone. Maybe your neighbor's sitting there alone and needs someone to talk to. And, you know, maybe your parents need you and they just don't know how to tell you. Maybe they need you. Maybe you came to heal them. Yes, Kristen's saying it's true. It's true. It seems like the general message these days is block, 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 and that is the wrong answer. It's true that has to happen at times in extreme cases. But even with one another online, just blocking immediately isn't the right answer. There's times I do even block off of my page if somebody's being very negative, and I hate to do that because I know it's not the right answer. So I really try to avoid it, and I'd rather try to understand where the person's coming from and try to, you know, have fun and be playful and loving to each other, because that is the way. This is about unity consciousness. You cannot ascend if you are not in understanding the value of somebody else's soul equally to yours. You don't like your mom, she acted a certain way, and so you're mad at her. Well, what about her? It's, you know, she matters, and her soul is as much as valuable as yours is. Sorry, I just want to read a couple of questions here. Oh, thank you, Debbie. She said, you're welcome to message me anytime for a reading. And like I said, just make sure if you go to my website that you're going to my website, ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. So you don't land on one of those frauds. Hopefully I'll have that dealt with here with some legal recourse this week, but I don't know how long it will take. So I think that was the gist of the message, was again just to remind everybody that this isn't, there's a lot of spiritual ego that comes with that whole message of hurry up and cut everybody out of your life because my energy, I gotta protect it. What good is protecting your energy if you're causing harm to somebody else? Cutting your mom out because she said some things that you don't like, or she has her own soul and her own personality and it's different than yours, and you don't like that because you want her to be a different person than she is, so you're just going to cut her out. That's not helping. Yeah, Lisa said struggling with self-love is a major blocker in her ability to love others, and that's exactly what's happening, is that it's not that you don't love them, it's that you don't love you. And when you love you, you can't not love them. When you love yourself, you can't not love your parents and your friends and your family and your neighbors and your pets and your earth and your co-workers. You can't not love anybody when you love yourself, because they're you. They're you having a different experience in a different body. We're one soul. And I understand that there are some people who can seem a lot less easy to love than others. But that's where our work is. That's where all of our work is. What happened in society to make them so hard to love? Because they were born pure. Love is the way. Not cutting people out and throwing them in the garbage can. Even though there's times that has to happen where you can't open your space to them. But your work is to do the love part, the bridging between you and them. You and anybody that comes in your path is meant for you to love. How are you going to love them? How are you going to love them if you're judging them? You can't. You can't love somebody and judge them at the same time. And oftentimes what happens, especially with family members, is they get really comfortable with each other, and then they start judging each other's differences and each other's behaviors. Oh, well, you're not like me, so, and that's not loving somebody. That's judging them, because they're not like you. So hopefully you are using discernment before you just cut somebody out, and you're thinking it through and you're working it through, and you've decided that you've done and exhausted yourself as much as you can before you do that. And again, there are times that it may have to happen. I totally understand when it does. We don't like it, but it's true. There will be times that is necessary. There will be certain people that it's necessary, and it's a necessary soul lesson with, but it's also rare. And when it comes especially to family members, you have to remember that you chose that soul group. And so whatever the lesson is, even if it is to cut them out of your life at some point, it's still a soul lesson. And so until you get the soul lesson, you may not even understand. So work your way through it. Use a balance. You're worthy of love and they're worthy of love. Where's the balance in between? That's where God lives, in that balance. Cox said there's always more love with nature, plants, animals than people. And yeah, you can get a lot of peace there. But that's easy. Do you want everything to be easy? It's nice when it's easy like that. But, we're meant to love each other. And so I'm not here to tell you what to do with your own choices there, because you're going to know in your own journey, and everybody's journey is different. Every relationship's different. So you'll know when, it's necessary for you to do that. But the Spirit did want me to pass that message on, because I think that a lot of people are just, reading online and hearing, cut them out, cut them out, cut them out. And that's really not, that should be your last resort. Yeah, Lena's right. She said sometimes the easy route's not the right route. And so, yeah, we have a lot of work cut out for us, don't we? Starseeds and light workers and soul warriors and indigos and rainbow children and all the different soul clusters, patriots. There's all kinds of, soul groups here that are doing all kinds of good work right now. And so we just need to keep healing the energy. This is a collective wound. And cutting people out of your life that love you just because there's a misunderstanding is really not the right way. And a lot of times it really just is a misunderstanding. 97% of conflicts between humans, and I'm a communications major, that's what I got a bachelor's degree in, 97% of miscommunication or arguments comes from miscommunication, meaning you're not understanding each other, that's all. That's just all. And not only are you not understanding each other, but usually you're losing respect for somebody else's soul. And sometimes they do things to make you lose respect. So, you have to balance it. Was it their sin or your sin? It gets better, Kristen. It gets better. There's hard times, don't get me wrong. But, you know, the more that you get your vibration high and the more that you get right with the spirit, everything makes sense. Even the sick journey that I'm in right now is a beautiful part of my journey, believe it or not. I've developed extraordinary relationships. It's shaping me to hone in on my work more. It's developed a great compassion for people who've dealt with physical, you know, traumas. And it's a beautiful part of my journey. So as you begin to align more, even the worst times, really, it's all about perspective. Is it the worst time or is it the best time of my life? It's not the worst. It could be seen that way, but depending on what you know, dimension you want to be on, and how you want to perceive things. I'm not completely and entirely unhappy with where I'm at in my journey, because I deeply love who I am. I love my soul. I love what I've learned. I love you guys. I love where my life led me to this point. And I'm not ready to go yet, so I don't think that I'm going to, but it's hard to say sometimes. And if I do, I'm at peace with that because I'm completely aligned. I got to meet my twin flame. I manifested my mate from heaven. You know, I'm not ready, but if it happens, then, you know, I completed my mission on Earth. I'm a graduate now. Don't be sad for me. Anyways, we don't know the answer yet, do we? Maybe I'll be able to move through this wound. It's a good one. And my guides have very much been working with me. Light beings have been working with me for several years now. They come at night and they walk in circles around me, and I can feel them doing astral surgery on my body to assist me. So I know that I'm surrounded by love. So I think we got a couple more new people on, and I just want to reiterate really quick that I came on for a couple of reasons. One, to just let you know, if you're trying to find me online, go to ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com. Be really careful about accepting friend requests from any other accounts that say Ellen Red, if it's not this page or my main profile, because there's some that are trying to steal my pictures and my posts. So just make sure, if it says Ellen Red and it looks like this page, look for the number of following. If there's no following there, it's not me. And then also on the website on Google, if you're going to Google Twin Flame Initiates or Ellen Red, be careful, make sure that when it leads you there, that you're seeing up in the bar that it is in fact ellenred.com, because there's a couple of hackers there that I'm working on legally to deal with. And then just, you know, that if you guys are going to the Tantra class, if you're intending to go to the Tantra class, which is next Friday, to make sure you sign up ahead of time. Don't wait last minute, because there's a limited seating and we won't be able to handle processing a bunch of people if you guys wait until the very last day. So the Tantra class is going to be about, you know, teaching you how to manifest through using your sexual energy without no need for a partner or anything. You learn how to use your sexual energy to manifest with. Make sure you sign up for that ahead of time and you don't wait last minute, because we're not going to have time the day of. If you wait until the hour before and we're running around trying to get set up and having to email you links and figure out who made payments and things, it's not going to work out very well for you. So please don't do that. Make sure you sign up a little bit early. Even if it's a day before, that will give us enough time. And just a reminder that the message of this video today or live is to make sure that you are balancing and using discernment before you're cutting your family members and your close friends out of your life. And I can tell you from personal experience that I too have been in that state of consciousness in the past. And once you cut somebody out, you've already wounded them. It's really hard to go back and undo that. Maybe you're doing it because you're emotional, and if you're acting on emotions and you're doing that, it's going to have a negative consequence for you and for them. And that's not the way to unity consciousness. So before you cut somebody out, make sure that you have really thoroughly thought it through day and night for many days and many nights before you make a decision. Don't just do it and you know, and then realize later that it was a mistake and that you hurt somebody else too because you were being emotional and you hadn't yet worked through the energy. That's going to cause more harm to the collective than help. And so everything is a balancing act. Good morning, Matthew. Anyway, yeah, so that was the message. Do you guys have any other questions? Do I still have Shelly on here? I'll give it a second here and see if Shelly comes on. I will re-upload this, so if you came on late, you can watch the whole thing. Just wanted to pass that message along. I think it's so important. Probably, if you guys have cut other people out of your life, you've probably also been on the other side of that, and you know how it feels. And so it's not the funnest feeling, and therefore, you know, it's better that we try not to do that unless really it has to be done. If you feel that somebody's projecting a lot of things onto you or hurting you, then, and you love them, and it's a family member or somebody that you have a deep bond with, back away, create safe distance, create back away lovingly, and allow yourself to work through the energy of it first, for a while. Matthew, I'd be happy to do a private reading. Just make sure you message me. Private message me or go to ellenred.com and message me online that way. I would be happy to. I hope that this helped you guys, because again, everything is about balance. There's never just a cookie cutter way to go through things, and everybody's journey is different. Your family dynamics are different, and yet you chose them, and you know, you chose your family group for a reason. So work through it first. Don't jump the gun and create more hurt and more separation and more hate if you're doing that out of emotion because you yourself haven't worked through it. And some of these issues can take years. So creating healthy boundaries and, you know, having your own safe space where you can go and nurture your own needs, and then, you know, fill your cup up so that when you're communicating with that person, you can do it from a loving place. But don't jump the gun and just cut them out. That's not the right answer. And that's a really massive message that's going around in the collective that's actually creating further harm. It's really not the answer. Carolyn, you can message me also. I'd be happy to do a reading for you as well. Just PM me. Small doses, shorter visits, you know, holding space for yourself. Don't allow people to disrespect you, but don't just jump the gun into cutting people away. It's very damaging, and it can take years and years to heal that kind of thing, and that's not necessarily the right way. Holding space, creating boundaries, you know, see each other once a month, write letters, whatever you need to do, can meditate on people, pray on them. Maybe we can do a class to teach you how to do some light work on them to help heal etherically. But cutting people out should be the last resort. It should happen with people that are, you know, threatening your peace in your capacity to live in peace, or threatening you physically, those kind of things. You know, if you feel unsafe around somebody, you most certainly need to stay very far away from them. But if it's just because you're feeling emotional every time you talk to them, they make you want to cry, maybe you're supposed to help them heal. Maybe that is part of what your soul mission is. And I'm not saying to leak yourself out over it, but I'm saying maybe there's a lesson there. That's why you chose them to be a part of your family line. And some of it's karmic ties that you guys have to heal through. I'm learning as I'm doing these lives, because as you guys know, I don't do a whole lot of them. I'm trying to learn how to tune into the spirit guides while I do them, so that I can start to do some live channelings with you guys. I haven't developed that much clarity, I guess. I get distracted when it's group sessions like this, or group people. But maybe soon I'll keep doing some lives, because I can feel some spirits here, and I know they want to come through, but I'm not quite prepared yet for that. I'll learn how to do that while I read all your comments one of these days. Otherwise, I get really distracted. So, but I can feel a gentleman here who's got curly dark hair. And he's, I want to say his name is Frank, and he's tall, and he almost looks like Fraser. So if any of you guys have a loved one like that that's passed over, let me know, because he's very prevalent here. I don't know if his name is Frank, but it sounds something like that. He's got that energy of Fraser a little bit, maybe a little more serious of a person, but he's got kind of curly hair. And he's wearing a jacket. If anybody comes online and you have a loved one like that, that could be him. He's quite prevalent, so one of you guys has somebody like that in your world. Tammy, you're welcome to schedule a session also. I can do that in private session. Well, it's been good. I saw a lot of you guys come on and off today, so we had a pretty good crowd, thankfully. Do you guys have any other questions? Does anybody know this? A gentleman, I believe his name is Frank. He's about 6'2", maybe even 6'4", tall, curly hair. Because now I feel like he really wants to connect to whoever he's meant for. You had a husband, Jim. Did he have tall curly? He was tall and had curly hair, and he had kind of almost maybe a New York personality a little bit. It's like maybe New York energy coming off of him. New Jersey or something. Oh, he did? Well, then maybe this is for you, honey, because he's making himself quite prevalent here. He's wearing a jacket. He had a button-up shirt with a jacket on, like a leather jacket over it. He's got curly hair. He looks like Fraser a little bit. Only he's a little more of I think he was a little bit more of a serious guy. He's playful too. He said he's playful too, but he was a little more serious. Wisconsin. That could be somewhere back east, for sure. Matthew, you're from UK. Oh, that's good. Well, welcome. You had a grandpa named Frank from New Jersey, Kristen? Was he also tall with curly hair? This one's probably about 6'2", maybe 6'4". It's quite tall. In 2014. I didn't ask him, but I can just feel his presence here, so I think he just wants to make the connection, whoever he belongs to. Maybe one of you two. Pretty sure his name is Frank, though. He had a brown jacket on. It's kind of like a medium color brown, like caramel. I lost you guys for a second. Okay, interesting. Well, like I was saying, I don't usually do these live while I've got a whole group of people on, because I'm not that skilled yet. I'm skilled at what I do with the spirits, but I'm not, I get distracted with the lives. And so maybe I'll get better at it, but I could very much feel him coming through. That's why I brought that subject up. So you had a Frank who had curly hair, who was from New York, that wore a brown jacket. Then he's probably yours, honey, because I don't. But he seems tall to me. But sometimes that can, you know, we could miss the boat a little bit there. That's okay. There's always room for a little translation here. New Jersey, he definitely had the New Jersey, New York energy. Wisconsin maybe, but it seemed more like New York, New Jersey. Just reading these comments. Usually when I do channelings, I'm alone with the person. I ask questions and I get a lot out of the tonals. That's what that post was about the other day. I'm able to pick up and decode a lot through tones, through your lineage, so, and through the Akashic records. But sometimes they just come through like this one, and he's quite clear that his, you know, he's got curly hair. It's very clear that he does. Definitely has a caramel colored jacket on, a leather jacket, and he definitely has, you know, East Coast energy, New York, New Jersey, something like that. And I think his name was Frank. So maybe that's why he's coming through. He wants to be part of your Christmas party. He don't want you to forget about him. Well, I'm glad that we found the owner, because I think that that's a match. He's your Frank. Okay, very good, Kristen. You must have been close to him, because he really wanted to come through. Were you close to him? You called him Poppy? I'm sure he's loving that. Yeah, he's yours then, girl. We got everything other than the height. That's pretty good for first time going live in front of the public. Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that. So for everybody else, I apologize. I just wanted to, you know, I usually don't do that live because I really haven't tried to. I generally just do those kind of readings privately, but I could go into a deeper one with you, Kristen, later. You were adopted. Made you feel like, yeah, I could feel that about his energy. He's pretty loving guy, fairly playful, but a little more serious than Seinfeld. That's what I'm picking up from him. He's a little bit of he had a little serious edge to him. I think he also suffered a lot in his life. He had some hardship. Matthew, it was such a random reading today that was sort of, I usually do that in session, and today this gentleman just wanted to come through, and he was very adamant about it. I'm not really trying to read more or channel more. If somebody comes through, I'll let you know, but this Frank, he wanted to come through. He was very, very clear, and sometimes it's kind of them that, just like the movie Ghost, they make it really clear that they want to come through. And so I have to honor, the energy that's coming through. Yeah. So, okay, sounds good, Matthew. Usually if I go into a private session and you specifically want to get in contact with somebody, I'm able to do that. But in this circumstance right here during the live, I wasn't intending to, and so he just came through. And when they do, I really like to honor them. That's part of me honoring my own gifts, is to recognize that, I'm here as a channel for them and for you guys. So I'm just a middle person. I'm just a tool in between. And so I just honor as the spirit, as they work through me, however it flows. It's a free-flowing thing, like all things spiritual. So, I just let the flow of whatever happens. And he very much wanted to come through. So he must have been getting excited about his family Christmas party and wanting to connect. And so that's a good thing. Yeah, okay, we'll do that in private, Matthew. That'd be awesome. This is I usually don't do those openly in live readings like this, but, maybe in the future I will more. When they come through, do they come from where we originally came from? Well, that's an interesting question. They're in the non-physical realms, but there's lots of dimensions and layers there. So sometimes they come from all different kinds of places in the non-physical realms. The non-physical realm is quite expansive. Oh, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still a little shy, guys, myself. That was one of the things that held me up in my own spiritual path, was really getting the courage to come in front of people and talk about these things, because I was so shy about it for so many years. As you guys know, it's very unusual, so coming out in the public was difficult. But I'm here now, and I'm happy about it, and it's my pleasure to be a conduit for the non-physical and for the spirit world. Sometimes when they come through, depending on where they are, if they're in an angelic form or galactic form, they come through looking very different than humans. Sometimes they do come through with wings, and sometimes they bring gifts, and sometimes they show me pictures of favorite memories they have of you. Sometimes they come through, if they're galactics, they are very, there's a lot of hybrids in the non-physical world. I mean, infinite hybrids. So when they come through, if you do the starseed readings, I usually am able to connect you to your galactic guides, and they really are very special beings, and I'd like to learn how to draw them a little bit so that I can draw you guys pictures of what I'm seeing, because I get surprised and blessed every time I do one of those readings, because I get to meet some of the most extraordinary beings that sometimes they don't even know where they're from because they don't have a word for it. Yeah, I've been channeling for decades and doing this work for decades, but not openly like this on a live, and doing the videos only a few years. So, and I'm getting, kind of going through my sickness stage, and so as I get through that, maybe I'll have a lot more videos to do. I also channel, you know, twin flame, the high soul of your twin flames. So if you're not connected with your twin flame and you're wanting to connect with them, I can channel their high soul in the 5D. And connect you to them, and that's kind of fun too, because you know, I think a lot of times when you're in your 3D state of consciousness, you almost don't really believe that you're worthy of love, and you can get messages from them that way. And you probably should, and let it fill your heart. So Ashley, sometimes they can come in their angelic form, and sometimes they come just as you remembered them. And it depends on who they are. Sometimes, again, if it's a galactic, they're going to come through. Really, the galactics are very interesting beings. Sometimes I've had dragons come through. Dragon beings, ancient souls. Well, Frank's doing like a little happy kiss. He's saying he was really happy to be able to come through for you. So I think that was a good thing. We gave him his airtime there. I've seen draconian Shauna, a lot of them, and some of them are not, well, a lot of them are not necessarily benevolent, and they're very, very, very large beings. They're about 18 feet tall. Let a couple questions come on. Anyways, at least the phone's sticking on for us today, huh? Ashley said everybody has the gift, and they forget. And so, yeah, the mediumship is something that you have to develop, and energy blocks can get in the way of that. And your level of ascension is really what's going to open up the gifts, and also meeting the twin flame really opens up the gifts. And I mean, like, way. So I was always psychic, and I was always seeing spirits ever since I was little. I was already in tune to that at age 4, or at least as early as I can remember. And then, of course, meeting my twin flame and going through that Hyros Gamos and being activated in my soul body and my light body really put me on the other side of things, to where it's very very clear to me. I'm able to just see them everywhere I go all the time, and things like that. So, and also the galactics didn't really get developed until after my twin flame journey. So it's usually a soul develop, you know, it's your soul evolution and clearing energy blocks and you know, things like that, and then you get led there. So keep doing your soul work, because that's what it's all about. Yeah, tell your brother, Kristen. It was definitely him, because he everything that I saw you agreed to, except for his height. But it's hard to tell height sometimes. I do the best I can as far as translating what I'm receiving energetically. It's an energetic, vibrational translation. Oh, thank you, Benny. I appreciate that. Matthew said you're so lucky. Well, I guess that's one way to see it. I think with all gifts comes a great responsibility also. Can the people on a twin flame journey split off in separation to work on previous relationships? Kristen, that would not happen with a twin flame. It happens with karmics and other things, but once you've been activated with a twin flame, you're not going to be interested in that. Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you. You're making me smile today, and I can use smiles too as much as possible. So I just want to reiterate, anybody coming on, if you were looking at the wands that I shared a week or so ago, we're still making a couple other batches, and I'll email everybody that emailed me. I'll email first. They get the first dibs on the ones that are going to be done first, and then after that we can go from there. And then we'll probably have to wait till after Christmas. So I just wanted to get a few people some before Christmas, and hopefully we'll get two. I'll definitely email and get you guys one. Everybody that asks for one, I'll get you one. But just stand by a little bit. They do take some time to build because they're handcrafted. So, and it's, you know, there's other works in the process. So just be patient. We will get it to you. And also, if you're going to sign up for the Tantra class, make sure that you don't wait until the last day. The Tantra class next week on Friday, December 3rd. So if you're interested and you already have the link or you know where to go, make sure that you pre-register. And then just remember, too, that I've been dealing with a lot of people stealing my identity, creating false pages and false websites with my name and my work and my pictures. So if it's not ellenred.com or twinflameinitiates.com, don't trust it. Come to me and ask me directly here on this page or directly to my website, ellenred.com. But don't trust anything else. Agree, big responsibility, yes. With all spiritual gifts and all things, there's always an energy balance. So, you know, sometimes you have to pay a big price for gifts. They're part of you, but it comes with evolution, and evolution also comes with great responsibility too. And also, it's like a muscle that has to get developed. You want a hard body, but you don't go to the gym every day to develop it. You're not going to have a hard body. You have to develop it through spiritual work. What happens if your life partner or soulmate is not your twin flame? Well, that's a soul evolution thing. You're where you're supposed to be. And everything that you're going through has a lesson to teach you, so you have to see what it has to teach you. If you know, there's a lot of ways we could look at that, and that we could do a session on that one, because there are probably about 6 or 7 answers to that question, and they all apply. Hopefully that was a good for you guys. But again, just like I said, make sure you're going to my website to find me and you're not falling prey or victim to these frauds. A lot of times these Sangoma witches that are coming from oftentimes Africa or, you know, Nigeria, they work with black magic for one thing, and also they're not in the light. So they are doing black magic things, but they're also doing fraud. And they are usually go and hack just like they're doing with mine. They're like parasitic energies, and they will hack and try to copycat your information so they can hurry up and fraud people. So please be mindful about that. And if you guys run groups of your own, or you know others that run groups of their own, you really need to learn about these IFAs. They're called IFAs, and they're really just parasitic entities. They're energies that are very parasitic, and the groups really shouldn't be allowing them in there. I know in my groups we do not. They are not even allowed to get in the group, and sometimes they sneak in because they'll create fake names. but they have intentions that are not good generally. And you can tell the ones that are good from the ones that are not if you're, you're really paying attention. But either way is pretty, they get in and then they copycat things. They see all of your guys's, comments and likes on a post or picture, and then they try to private email you. So just try to be mindful of that. Don't fall victim to it, okay? And just to know that this happens to pretty much every group and every person that has an audience, and they just want to try to feed on that, and it's a really negative energy, but we're dealing with it everywhere, so just be mindful. Matthew, I can't open the rest of your question while I'm on a live for some reason. It doesn't know. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Let's see. Oh, of course it works, whether they're English or not. The soul doesn't have the soul's language is light language. So when they come through, they're coming through in light language, and then I'm translating it. It's a vibrational thing. And really even symbols and things like that I have to decode. So it doesn't matter what language they used when they were living. They're still going to come through. They'll still translate the message to you one way or the other, so don't worry about that. The soul language is very different than the human language. Okay, I think that was probably a good one today, right? I just want to last but not least, reiterate that the spirit asked me to just remind you guys not to jump the gun so quick on cutting the cord. Try to bridge the gap of love first. It's a unity consciousness thing. Try the best you can. Use discernment. Create safe space. Create boundaries. But, try not to just cut the cord right off the cuff. That's really actually not our truth. And it can be when it's necessary, but shouldn't be your first reaction. And then Tom said, I seen that ad for the wands. I left a message asking if it can make a wand or staff from willow wood. And so the designer of the wood is, he's not wanting to do a lot of custom stuff, especially right now during Christmas. So I think I put on there that it was, I forgot what kind of wood, something for, I'll look again, or message me again, and I'll tell you the type of wood. But he doesn't want to take custom wood right now. It's too much work for him. So you'll have to kind of stick with the wood that he has if you're interested. But message me again just to make sure. And like I said, it's probably going to be a couple weeks before the next couple batches, before everybody that asked even gets theirs, and then we'll have to keep working on more, and it's 8 at a time usually that come through. So okay, there's some more good questions here, but I'm gonna kind of end it at that. I think I'm pretty good now. I just wanted to pass along the message. I don't mind doing other question and answer sessions later, but I'm kind of getting a little bit tired. So I'm gonna end the video, and I just want to thank you guys for coming on and wish you guys all a good night. And I will hopefully be able to upload this so you get to watch it again if you came on late. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of a constant thing. It's like, kind of like having a cockroach problem. You stomp out 10 and 30 more show up. So unfortunately, these crooks and frauds and stuff, they try to find ways to, and it's too bad, because they could use that intelligence for good, but they're using it for bad, and that's unfortunate. I will have to deal with these ones right now. There's a website online that if you type in Twin Flame Initiates, it takes you over to this gym website, and it's all my information, all my work, my name, my website's on there. It's just amazing. So FBI has to get involved on that one too, unfortunately. But, well, hopefully you guys have a wonderful evening. It was fun to do a little quick channeling that was just the way it goes, I guess, unexpected. But have a great night, guys.